Everybody, my name is Margaret. Welcome to my channel. You're on Booktube. We're going to be talking about books today. And we're nice and cozy. I've got my shawl. I've got my piping hot tea, which I just made in time. And I kind of matched this book cover that I just got and read, and I'm going to be reviewing today. So, how is everybody? I am going to give some updates about me, then updates on the book reviews, and then things that are coming up that are very exciting. So feel free to drop in on any of those topics about yourself in the comments, and we can commune as a Booktube community. So welcome, everybody. Yeah, 7 books in the past 2 weeks. I've shifted to sort of doing Wednesday wrap-ups every 2 weeks. Occasionally it's on a Sunday, but I don't read 14 books a month, so I think it was just the fact that May was prolonged. I don't know. It's a math thing. I'll leave it to Eloise to figure out. And we've got an Eloise bar in the comments. Hello, hello. Can't wait to hear about these books. There's a lot of historical mystery going on. So if that is up your alley, hopefully you will find some you will like. I was chiming in earlier saying there's some really good ones in this group, and then some real, well, I'll just say one real stinker. So, Eloise is ready for the spoilers. All right, nice. Shannon is here. SD Houston made friends with the like button. Lovely. She's informing and telling us that we are 15 days and counting until the AuthorTube writing conference. And Shannon has a laundry list of tasks to finish. So we'll be here listening, but also working away. Jim's Books, Reading, and Stuff is here. He had something to say about one of my books that I'm going to review, so I'll mention him when it comes up. Sunlit Weapon is the only Maisie Dobbs books I have read. That's probably because you got it on Netflix, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember hearing your review, so maybe not. No spoilers for that book. Eva is here. Music is distracting to your voice. Well, that might be a high because I just got congested, so I'm feeling very nasally right now. But let me turn it down. I usually do 11. See that. See how that works for you. And then Nina stuck in. AF Stewart. Hello, hello. So, see. I'm going to. Oh, I was going to tell you one fun thing. So the fun thing is that I had a very healthy lunch just today, 20 minutes ago when I got back from my walk. It was vegetables, sweet rolls, and a hard-boiled egg, and arugula, and, just like vegetables and protein, and not too sweet, not too salty. So I was feeling very good about this. And the reason I got the arugula is because I'm volunteering at this farm on Mondays, and they're an organic farm that is a nonprofit that teaches people, has lots of interns and woofers, and so I've really enjoyed the past month of Mondays where I've driven down there and worked for 6 hours and driven back and gotten to know some really cool people. So I just thought that'd be cool to share in case you are looking for a way to get your Taurus fingers into the earth, for example. Or, just learn about how things grow. So it's been fun, and it contributed to my healthy lunch today. So I don't know, check it out in your area if you're interested or if that intrigues you. Okay, so the books. We're gonna be going through chronologically, not by star rating, just in the order in which I finished them. So let's see. Okay, we have some hard of hearing chat in the comments. The books. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. So the first one I have is actually The Gilded Years by Karen Tanabe. And this is because I had 2 wrap-ups in May, but I still had May books that I haven't talked about yet, and this is one of these. This got shoved up to the top of the TBR because it was the Asian Readathon, or AAPI, Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And Terrence Nabe is one of those authors who I got the book because it said Gilded in the title. I didn't know anything about her background, but then when I looked, she's Asian American. So I thought, okay, let's read this because I've had it a long while, and this is a good excuse to push it up to the top of the list. I got this, I think, I don't need to think. I got it in Boston at Trident Booksellers and Cafe. So that was when I was visiting Boston in 2021. It was 3 years. And it had to cure, right? But I got it because I was working on a book that was set in Chicago in the 1890s, and that is the Gilded Age. And this is the same era. It's still very interesting to me, even though I've ditched that novel. And this one is, let's see, I'm trying to look at my notes. This one is set in the 1890s in Boston, New York City-ish. It sort of moves around, and it's at Vassar, so women's college, and it's not integrated. And so the big piece of the novel is the protagonist, who is attending Vassar, passing as white. And so if you've read Nella Larson's Passing, or if you've read The Vanishing Half, that subject has sort of come up a few times and been looked at in different ways, uniquely in our modern investigation of race. But this was more of a woman's coming of age, a young woman looking at the rest of her life, worrying about this one issue a lot, sort of having it influence her personality and her choices and the people around her. So I felt like it was written a little, I mean, this could be just me feeling older, but written a little younger adult, like a new adult type audience, because she was in college and, you know, had just a very fragile sense of going after what she wanted. There's no violence. There's no graphic depiction of sex or anything like that. There's like a couple kisses, and I won't tell you who they're with, but so yeah, so it felt like a little younger written wise, but obviously the themes are very mature for people to understand, and, you know, well developed plot, characters, and great historical value, because all these things were like real, and the author's note in the back tells you like what things were real. Even some of the details chosen. So that was very enjoyable. So yeah, I really liked The Gilded Years, and for anyone else who likes that time period, recommend. Emma Bennett booped into the chat and booped the like button. Thank you. In from Bandy's Books, also dropping in to say hello. Hello. So going on, the next book, which was also a May priority, was World of Wonders by Amy Nezukumatafil. I got that out. Woo-hoo. I think I said it right. So this is one of the books that I got, like, I caved in to get because it was so pretty. And, like, it was very... I usually stay away from hype, but I feel like this was very hyped and in a way that attracted me to it. Anyway, I finally found a version, or, you know, found a moment in myself where I was okay spending whatever for a hardcover that was not big. And I did it. Right? So this is a nonfiction. It's a nature memoir, and you know me, I love my nature memoirs. In fact, I did this in advance. I have a whole list. Where did I put it? I have a whole list, and I will just use this. Oh no. Well, I've been chatting and people have heard me previous, so I think it is your computer. But you can't hear what I'm saying, so maybe other people can chat and she can figure out what the deal is. What I was going to say is I did get this link ahead of time because I have set up several lists, probably like a dozen different lists of favorites in different categories on Bookshop. It's an affiliate sale, so, like, I don't know, 1% of their cut at Bookshop goes to me, so it helps me out if you shop on Bookshop from my link. Um, I have one specifically for Asian authors, Asian American authors. So if you're curious about that readathon or at any other point in the year you want to read an Asian author, they're specifically chosen, mostly fiction, but there is a nature memoir on the list now. So, how does it compare to other nature memoirs? Well, the cool thing, the extra thing about this book is that it is illustrated. So, the byline is in praise of fireflies, whale sharks, and other astonishments. And that sort of sets the tone, other astonishments, that like it's going to be a book about humility in the natural world and not being an arrogant human and just like finding wonder looking at animals and stuff. So, illustrations by Fumi Mimi Nakamura. So that is the illustrator there. And they're just really, let's see, there we go. There's like black and white, crazy looking things that she just takes the time to investigate and then tells little stories about in her life and like how she relates to like the sensitive plant. It's like really cool things. And most of them I had not seen. A few of them I have interacted with in terms of plants and animals. And so I just really liked someone treating this with respect and relating it to their lives. I liked it. Someone else said something about this, and now I've got the sort of same view, and I hope it didn't influence me. But it does feel less woven together. It doesn't really build. It's more of a take a piece at a time, and you can go out of order. She talks about her childhood. She talks about being like an outsider as a child because they moved a lot because of the academic placements of her parents. She was also a person of color that looked different in Midwestern school settings. And so that was another thing that was sort of a disruption that made her turn towards the natural world. So some of that in there to be aware of and interested in, or, wait until you're ready for that type of theme. But really glad I read this and learned about some of these crazy animals and plants that are on cover. So very cool. And the author just came out with another book. So like I just read this one. I'm a little behind the times. On brand. So that's that. It's the 2 end of May books. And then we move on to the historical mysteries. So, oh, good. Okay. Caitlin has World of Wonders on my bookshelf. Yeah, excellent. It's good. It's like a nice, calming, drop-in, sort of serious vibe, and family friendly. So I like it. The next one I did read was a comfort read that actually I bought recently. All of these are recent acquisitions now because those 2 are a few years old. This was a used book from Backstory. It's called As Death Draws Near by Anna Lee Huber. And it's a historical mystery with I put a parenthesis around romance. If you've heard me talk about Grace Burrows, she is a historical romance mystery, and they're about even because there's always some steamy themes, but there's also a central mystery. They're sort of on even ground. Whereas this one, it feels more like the historical mystery is center stage and the romance is sort of the background series arc change, which is interesting because I just had this realization before the stream when I was doing these notes that that's a pretty good construction for a series to have the mystery gets solved each time. It's a case. You got a detective, husband and wife team on this case. And then what changes in the series over time from book to book is that, they met and now they're interested in each other. Now there's a problem and they're apart. Now they're interested and now they're married. And now they're newly married. This is newly married. They get taken out of their honeymoon to attend to another case. And what struck me this time is that it takes place in the time period that I'm writing about. So it's actually the same year, I think, 1831, the year before. So I was like, oh, cool. It's not reflected in the cover because, of course, costumes on covers play differently than the actual historically accurate costumes. That's fine. We'll leave that. That's not their fault. They're trying to sell books, right? But yes, they go to Ireland. There's a convent involved. There's a murder in the convent. And so that was like interesting as well, because there were several instances where things that I had researched and sort of put on the sideline as tangential were brought up here. The Catholic Emancipation in 1829 and the tithe wars in Ireland at this time, because people didn't want to have to pay tax to the state church that was not Catholic, and then also have to pay the money to get their Catholic church, keeping going. And so people were resisting. Anyway, so that was really cool to like read about that. And I've read one Anna Lee Huber before. I think it was the first Lady Darby mystery. Very similar covers, like different colored gown. And I like her writing. It's a bit more flowery and more about background and setting and description than some of the other mysteries that I read, but enjoyable, especially for me, just painting that picture for people who maybe don't like that as much. Yeah, so if I see another one of these, I would pick it up. It's a good comfort read, historical fiction, good mystery. The mystery in this one, trying to remember. Nunnery, characters, red herrings, like it was pretty like well designed. So like, good. Recommend, with the caveat about that little more flowery writing for those of you who like it or don't like it. So that was great. It wasn't like this earlier today, but now I have it. Perfect timing. Hi, Leslie. Good afternoon, my friend. We're going to purl right along to... Oh, wait. Is that the one? No, not yet. Okay. We're going to purl right along to the Jacqueline Winspear of today, the second to last book in this series, called A Sunlit Weapon. This is number 17. I have read them all, but I don't own them all. And this one I actually pre-ordered a couple years ago. Wait, 1 year ago, March 2023. Because I was producing the interview where she was talking about this book on A Mighty Blaze, and I was very excited. And I got to meet her backstage virtually, right? And then last week, for those of you who didn't catch Sunday's video, last week I actually got to go to a talk where I got to meet her in person. And there were some limitations. Hold on one second. There were some limitations in terms of the venue. They wanted to have lots of people in. She gave her talk for 50 minutes, and there were 3 questions allowed, and then everyone was like supposed to leave. She didn't talk to people. She didn't like sign books personally. Everything was signed beforehand, and then we were just sort of shuffled out. So I did say afterwards so that I could say hello, say that I'd met her, say that I worked with someone who was a colleague, say that I appreciated the series, fangirl a little bit. But I kept it to like 30 seconds, brought her a little like present that would hopefully mean something to her. And just, it's like that quote you see on Instagram, like you make an author's day when you show that their work resonated and had an impact. So I figured even though she's huge, even though she's, terribly successful, it would still be appreciated. So I did that. And I read this before I went, so I'd be primed and ready. I have the new book, but I haven't started it yet. I need to spread it out. It needs to cure a little. And like I said, Sunday's video was sort of inspired by seeing her at this talk because it brought up questions about the central theme in my writing and why I write. So if you're curious about that and want to maybe be on a panel discussing it, check out the Sunday video and get in touch with me. I think we'll be doing it on Discord, and if you are not on Discord, JC or Eva, send me a message if you want to be on the panel. Okay, but back to the mystery itself. Sunlit Weapon, as most Macy Dobbs mysteries, deals with a smaller issue of wartime. So we started off the interwar period, and we've gone basically 1 or 2 a year since 1929. And so now we're in World War II. We're in the London area. She's still doing her investigator business, and she is married. Yes, she's married. And the different circles of her life start to overlap in ways that help her to solve the case, which I liked. And the specific area that they treat about the war is women. I forget what they're called, but the women who are delivering the planes around. So if you had planes come back and they needed to be repaired or fueled or tested or something like this, they needed to be moved to different airfields. You had sort of like taxi drivers in England, and women did that job instead of being out on the front because they needed more manpower. And something happens to one of these women that uncovers like a greater problem issue, shall we say. So well done, as always. Loved reading it. I think I've finished it in 2 days. I can't really put down a Jacqueline Winspear, so loved it and recommend. If anyone wants to buddy read the last one of the series with me, like, let me know, but give me some time because it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to say goodbye to this whole series. So the central theme in my writing question is a really good point for discussion. So I said that if other people were interested in talking about that we would do a panel discussion because it seemed to have a lot of energy around it. No, it's not aviatrices. It's the taxi aspect of like not freight, not carry, something else. But yeah. Okay. And then next I have a library book. It's called Consider the Lilies. This one took a little longer to read. I started it a bit ago. It's by Ian Crichton Smith. It's written in the 1960s, so I guess I would call it a modern classic. It did pretty well back then. It was an early wave of books that were treating the matter of the clearances in Scotland. So I write about that in the painting and have spent a lot of time visiting places and learning about the process of evictions and land use change and social change that happened in the 18th and 19th centuries in Scotland and other places as well. This is one of the first looking back that used it in a fiction context to explore the cultural differences. And there's a lengthy introduction, which I thought was a little bit weird. The book is very short. It's probably less than 100 pages. And the introduction sort of gives you the context of why the way the author portrays it. And it doesn't really match up. The time is a little off, with the backstory or whatever. But Ian Crichton Smith, was someone who spoke Gaelic and made very specific choices about how to convey the style of Gaelic and the sort of understanding of the people about life, about the land, about responsibilities, and responsibilities between people. So I really liked that. There's a little bit of religion in there and definitely age difference because he picks an old woman to be the POV character in close third person. A really interesting look. So, probably in your library, not in the bookstore, but if you're curious, after reading my books, I would say this is like an interesting additional viewpoint. So I was just reading it to sort of catch up, compare, see how we were doing. I've got 2 more here. One of them is the one that Jim commented on. Before we do that, let me give you the coming update. So, let's see. Coming up. Oh, so this book is part of a book haul from Blackwell's that I just got. So I'm going to just do a Blackwell's book haul of 5 books. I thought that'd be fun. I'm also working on the Not Secret reading vlog of 19th century French literature. So I am still only like 40-something% of the way through this Zola book. It's long, but that is in train. So maybe in the next month or 2, I will be reading Zola and Stendhal and Balzac. So we'll get to compare and give a little like treatise on 19th century. Great, right? And then the last upcoming event, not to be forgotten, the AWC, the Author Tube Writing Conference, in a couple weeks. I'll be giving my presentation on researching and when to stop researching, put the book down, and just write, right? So don't use it as a procrastination tool. How to tell like when you're needing research and need to go back to the library and when you're just using it as a procrastination tool and should just sit down and write, and how to get yourself to do that. So I will have fun doing that in a couple Saturdays from now. And so that's the upcoming events. Final 2 books. Jim says Sunlit Weapon was a 4-star read for me. I still didn't understand all the words. Feels like it's not for me. The Consider the Lilies? Probably not. Okay. So this, and what's funny about this is that this is an ebook. It's on my tablet, but it's a library borrow. So the library uses the Kindle system. So like they're gonna pull it back from the Kindle library in another 2 days, I think, or no, tomorrow. So it's perfect that I'm showing it now because I won't have it tomorrow. Anne Perry, very prolific author. I love the William Monk series, although there have been a couple stinkers in it, and this is one. William Monk is a detective who wakes up with amnesia in, I think, 1850s, early 1850s. And instead of like admitting that he has amnesia to people around him and doesn't know who they are, he uses his detective skills to try to fake it till he makes it or remembers his previous life. And so we've gone through, I don't know, a dozen books, maybe 10 books before this one. See, this is why it's an old tablet. It's doing this weird thing. Anyway, Weighed in the Balance is a mystery that is about slander and the libel laws in Britain in the early 1860s. And it's basically taking the politics of German unification, a little bit of Italian unification, and a libel case, and mixing it up in a London courtroom. So we've got some interesting characters. We've got someone accusing someone else of murdering her husband. We've got a royal court in exile, which is interesting for an English person to take up, you know, considering how they had a royal court in exile for a long time. And a substantial part of the action takes part in Venice, and there's lots of descriptions of Venice. I've never been to Venice, but it seemed suspiciously like, oh, I'm going to go to Venice and write a book about it, so it's a write-off. Because she's a British mystery writer, right? But like William Monk travels for the first time out of the country for his detection. And yeah, so it just felt a little pushed, a little forced. And Jim said to me when I said that on a previous live stream, some people go to Scotland, some people go to Venice. And I'm like, but she lives in Scotland, or lived in Scotland. She recently passed away. So I was just like, giving her the gimlet eye, if that's the right term. But beyond that, I had another issue, was that the answer was so obvious. I saw it the first time it was mentioned, and like we went almost the whole book. She loves pushing the solution until the very end. And this one was actually in advance of the very end, and you saw it unravel. But I saw it way back in like one of the earlier scenes, and I was kind of waiting for someone to mention it. I was like, come on, guys. So that was kind of disappointing and frustrating. And here's the tiny spoiler part. I'm going to put up a banner in case you don't want to hear it, if you want to read it. But like in the bedchamber where the husband died, and they couldn't affirm whether it was a specific poison or not, everyone was on about the yew hedges in the garden and how the wife couldn't have gone out to get the yew leaves and make poison, boil it and steam it or whatever to make poison from these yew leaves. But someone mentions that there's a lily of the valley in the room, and I'm like, lily of the valley, poisonous. But no one got it, which was kind of silly because 1860s London, like no one's gonna know Lily of the Valley when I know. That was a little silly. So that was like my Anne Perry experience. Every once in a while in the William Monk series, there's a disappointment. That was one. But final book is Tea and Sympathetic Magic, and this is by Kenzie Rayner Roberts. Now I love this cover. It's pretty simple, but like glows. It just hits, right? And this author is from Australia. I don't think I knew that until last year, and then I put this on my list because Gunpowder Fiction and Plot recommended the author, I believe, in some capacity for Australia September. And so she's on my list, and then when I went to Blackwell to see what was on sale, this came up, and I didn't realize it was so thin. So, like, this is what Fabled Passages would look like. And I don't know, so would someone be annoyed to pay £10 for this? I wasn't annoyed. It was a good story. It's part of it's a part of a series, a whole world of tales that she's made. And I think this is one of the early sort of prequels or like setup novels. But it's got history, it's got fantasy, it's got magic, tea, like not the tea is not magic, but it's got tea and it's got magic. And so obviously it had my name written all over it. This is one that is more historical romance with a little bit of mystery fed in rather than the other way around, like Annalee Huber's book. And so, like, I had my name on it, and I read it in a day, obviously not taking very long, and really liked it. It was cute. It's kind of like the League of Gentlewomen Witches, just kind of like snappy and witty and a little absurd. The magic, I mean, obviously you gotta explain it somehow. There's definitely like a battle of the sexes. I was definitely getting a little bit of Gail Carriger vibes. So being prim and proper, but also like not quite a lady, which I like, which is fun. And yeah, so if I see another one of hers, I will get it in a used bookstore to try someone out and have a new name to investigate. So yeah, that's my 7 books from last week. So Anita says, never got into the William Monk series, but have read some of her Charlotte and Thomas Pitt series. I read a few of those too. I liked it, but then like a husband and wife couple, I've seen others of those, and I hadn't seen the Detective with Amnesia, and he just seemed more compelling to me, so I went with that one instead. He has a lot of books. Cost of paperbacks have gone up. Yeah, even something this small, right? I feel like they never adjust the prices on books regardless of how small they are. Yeah. Yeah, and the thing is, like, if you get a poetry book, it will still be $20. And I'm not sure how that's, like, I don't know, justified? So, yeah, I don't know. Shannon singing for me in the comments. Magic tea. Yeah. I mean, why not, right? So, yeah, mostly historical mystery, common denominator today. That's obviously a comfort read for me. And some nonfiction and some romance and a tiny little sprinkling of fantasy. So, what have you guys read lately that is, I don't know, good? And do any of these pique your interest? I am lamenting the fact that I got congested just for this stream. But let me know if you're reading something great or these books were called something recently that you're reading. Shannon says, I've been attracted to dark romance lately. Interesting. Been reading a few of those. No fantasy involved. Ooh. Are they specific tropes? Like dark romance, I think. Is it gothic? Is it academia? Is it mafia? There's a lot of like tropes that I think of. I don't know how to categorize dark romance otherwise. Because I just finished Alice, Lady Celine. It was solid. Maybe not amazing, but interesting. I don't think that was the one you were reading on your last live stream. Let's look it up. BiWeekly Perfect. Or maybe it was. Wickedly Delightful. Oh boy. Okay. Nice. Jim says Murder at Traitor's Gate by Irina Shapiro was a good historical mystery set in 1858 London. Excellent. I'm glad it was good. Nina says, I read a terrific nonfiction book on the Gilded Age, The Husband Hunters. Ooh, okay. Husband Hunters. Is it about New York City or is it about like the UK? Because it could be either. I think the prevailing story of the time is that there were rich American heiresses to industrial fortunes, and the titled people without wealth in the UK were willing to overlook the fact that they weren't, peers. They had a lot of money to shore up their estate. Fascinating. Jan says, probably explains why my critique partner doesn't like my terribly dark male character and my web. Oh no! So it's leaking from the dark romance that you're reading into your dark male character. And yeah, I remember you talking about how she's like, too dark, I don't like him. Or they were. I don't know which critique partner this is, if it's Morgan or not. Caitlin said, I did pick up the first book in the Maisie Tom series after I saw your recommendation. Oh yes, I hope you love it. I'm a Maisie aficionado, a Maisie proselytizer. I really like her. Shannon says, mafia trope. Okay. Interesting. I don't think I've read one of those in contemporary. Nope, not the one from the live stream. Okay. The one from the live stream is the Jin's daughter. That's right. So working my way through the many plot points. Oh my gosh. Jim says, I also enjoyed Sea of Rust this month. Post-apocalyptic world where humans are extinct and we are following some robot scavenging parts. I think you put up a quote from that on your community tab or Twitter, and it was like really good. I was taken aback. I can't remember where I saw it, but yeah. Maybe you put it in the chat. Maybe that's why. Leslie says, reading something great. Oh, there we go. Stormwreck and Spindrift. But I did take a break because I can feel myself becoming sad over the passage of time. Yeah. Yeah, the character loyalty shift over the series. What can I say? But I do give, I think, a hopeful ending. So you can ask Jim if you want. Anita says it was about the rich American heiresses, but ranged from Britain, Paris, New York, and San Francisco. Ooh, Paris. See, there's an angle I never have heard about. That's really cool. Okay, I'll look that up too. And DeCourcy. Oh, she's got a titled last name as well. Interesting. It sounds like it might be a pen name because I feel like Anne DeCourcy is a historical figure. Or am I wrong? Different critique partner, but uses cheaper print. Okay. Oh boy. The darkness. Oh, okay. This is your friend from a long time. Okay. Accountability partner for years has read all of my work. Oh, and she's like, where are you going, Shannon? I can't follow. Oh, yeah. Morgan hasn't had time for a few months. Gotcha. Anita says, Paris factored in quite a bit from the House of Worth to Empress Eugenie. Interesting. Empress Eugenie. Empress as in Second Empire, like 1870s? Trying to think like how the timeline would go, because again, the 19th century French history is not my strong point. But I just did a buddy read of The Phoenix Crown, and that has some scenes in it that take place outside Paris, and one of the characters gets a job, and it's like adjacent to the House of Worth, and they're talking about fashion in the Edwardian age, so first decade of the 20th century, and that was pretty cool. Yeah, this little again, little rabbit holes that I like to go down. That's fun. Yay! Well, those sound like some good books. Sound like some great reads. I'm glad everyone is having something positive. Yeah, I have two research books I'm working on. As you can tell, if you're familiar, they're interlibrary loans, so they have these leaves on them that you're not supposed to take off under pain of death. But one is about financial collapses in Britain from 1826 on. I'm going to read 100 pages of that. And then the other one is The Diaries of Francis Place, who's a famous, I'm picturing him as kind of like a Tip O'Neill, like someone who is a career politician, but he wasn't a politician. He was just someone behind the scenes who organized people and got stuff done in the time frame of the novel that I'm working on, 1820s, 1830s. So I'm trying to comb his diaries for what was worrying people, what were the topics of the time that were worrying. So yeah, exciting research reads. I was telling Devin in her live stream earlier today that they probably wouldn't be the most thrilling for anyone else, but I did love how many times I've come across Francis Place talking about putting in new bookshelves and rearranging his books. I just felt so validated. But since Devin was doing that too, new bookshelves and gonna change around her books, I just thought it was so funny. So I shared that little point with her this morning. Yes, Second Empire. Apparently Americans were all the rage. That's hilarious. That's interesting. Because I'm thinking about new wave cinema, but that's not until the 50s. So yeah, I may have to get this book now, That's very cool. Well, thank you all for joining and sharing the joy in the reading at this time. We've got, like I said, the AWC coming up, the vlog TBD in a couple months, and a little book haul that will be coming shortly, and lots of other stuff. So I will see you guys in your chats and elsewhere on the interwebs. But take care. Happy hump day, and I hope you enjoy your reading this week. Bye, everybody.